Welcome to the You Person podcast, a deep dive into how a new way of knowing is developing holistic, innovative leaders at all levels of the organization and changing the way business does business. I'm your host, James Tuznia, and a big shout out to Lindsay Sterling for our highly evocative theme music, Between Twilight.
So what I'm hoping that people then are beginning to open to is that way of developing and that way of having all of your attention on your intention. You can start to see that the current 4.0 thinking that's in business is antiquated, so much so that it will lead to short-term solutions. It will lead to, well, we've tried everything and it's just not working. It's not working because you don't have the kind of thinking and the ability that you need currently to address the issues that are happening in the world in the current marketplace. Traditional corporate thinking is sadly behind the times, and it will ask us to both develop at this new level, to curate and cultivate and discover your unique signature, while learning to put all of your attention on your intention. And so that requires a different set of skills, that requires a different set of ability alongside that vertical development that we're talking about. So it is going to ask for both vertical development of a leader as well as horizontal development, putting the skills and sensibilities together that you need now. But it really no longer, well, what will happen if you continue to be addicted to this 4.0 thinking is you'll continue to put short-term solutions forward. You'll continue to cause fragmentation. Not that just fragmentation, oh, and something's wrong, I got to fix it. No, you've actually caused it with that level of thinking, trying to address the current situations and events that are happening in the world with the kind of change that we're going through. It's asking for the work that we're providing people.
It's like an unconscious mistake because in the radical attention on your intention, folks will radically put their intention on something, but they put it on it from lower tier, from the lower structures of mind. So the result is what you're speaking to, Jill. They'll repeat what they've already done and have the same experience in the matter of and burnout and all those chronic experiences that people speak to today happen. But when we have radical attention on our intention from this space of it's the constant change and uncertainty and open and open and open, then radical attention, while not letting go of the intention, right? The pictures that we have that we formulate about how it should go, or the pictures that we formulate about how someone should operate or engage with me in that, all of that has to be let go. And we have to engage from a place of the unknown and uncertainty in how it is going to go. If we don't open, then we fall back. And we repeat. That's why I said it's kind of an unconscious mistake, because when we're holding radical attention on our intention, a lot of times we make the mistake of thinking we're actually letting go and moving something forward.
Well, and it does point to the part of that David White quote, the conversations you were made for, which speaks to the search image. So if you're coming from that 4.0 place, then the conversation you would assume the company is made for, and the conversation in your accountability, the conversation you were made for as a leader would be with a 4.0 model for a world that we're no longer living in, so that you would be holding radical attention to a conversation you perceived you and the company were made for in a world that isn't that anymore. So your search image would have you coming from that place and holding the fixed mindset of that. Only the world has moved on. So then that's deeply problematic. And of course, that would be a mistake, an error of omission, and commission, actually. So what's your search image for the conversation you were made for? can you respond to the call of the future that's already showed up now?
Daniel, can you talk a little bit more about search image?
If you're doing field research, let's say if you're out there in the field, quote unquote, the idea around a search image is you will tend to find what you're looking for, so that it becomes a kind of filter and the context from which you're processing what you're aware of. So what would it mean to be present to what you're aware of from an intention, and the intention creating the filter you're looking from, the viewing from, sensing from? So if you're in the 4.0 mindset and you have a context of a certain set of quote unquote best practices, then the context and the filter in your looking will be contexted and curated by the story that is, here's what business looks like and here's what should happen in the business. Mm-hmm. So then the filter for your view, what you hear, what you see, what you feel, and because you tend to find what you're looking for, if you're coming from 4.0 business, you'll be finding a 4.0 solution. Mm-hmm. Whether that's meeting the world appropriately or not would then be beside the point. If you could hold open mind, open heart, open will, if you can be present from a non-historical place, then you have a chance of being present to what is the emerging 5.0 society. What is the emerging view required for an emergent future that's already shown up, that is moving from digital to trans-digital? Yeah. That everything about the way we live and what business needs to respond to and is responding to, the context for what you see, hear, feel, pick up the movement of, requires a different search image. Since you tend to find what you're looking for, if you're coming from the 4.0 context and filter search image, then what shows up for the emerging 5.0 will be outside of your awareness, and you won't even know to look for it, and you'll miss it.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the You Person podcast. If you are new to the podcast, please head over to our website, theyoupersonproject.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast, learn more about the project, or connect with our team. You can also reach us at hello@theyoupersonproject.com. If you think of someone who will benefit from listening to this podcast, please do share it with them. Thank you again, and see you on the next episode of the You Person podcast.